For years, spouses and widows called Social Security and heard the same sentence: your spousal or survivor benefit will be reduced to zero because of your government pension, so don't bother applying. Then the Social Security Fairness Act was signed on January 5, 2025, repealing GPO and WEP retroactive to January 2024. Here's the thing. Many of the people who were told don't apply are being told they can only get 6 months of back pay. Use 2 people and hold everything else constant. Same age, same household budget, same spouse's work record, same local Social Security office. The only difference is what they did after that phone call years ago. Person A filed anyway, even after being told the benefit would be zero. Person B trusted the advice and never filed. After the 2025 law change, both people can now qualify for money, but only one of them is positioned to collect the full retroactive increase Social Security is already paying out. The other is stuck inside a separate rule that didn't change at all, and it turns a retroactive law into a 6-month trap. I've been calling what's happening the retroactivity squeeze. It's what you get when Congress changes an eligibility rule retroactively, but the agency still applies the old filing back pay limits to anyone who didn't already have an application in the system. Here's the mechanical sequence, using Social Security's own framework and timelines. Step 1 is the old penalty. For decades, the Government Pension Offset, or GPO, reduced spousal and survivor benefits if you also received a pension from work that did not pay Social Security taxes. It wasn't a small haircut. The formula was blunt. Social Security offset your spousal or survivor benefit by 2/3 of your non-covered pension. Step 2 is the zero outcome. Run Social Security's own style of example. If a worker's Social Security benefit is $1,800 per month, the spouse's benefit is normally $900. If the spouse has a $1,600 non-covered pension, 2/3 is about $1,067. That offset is larger than $900, so the spousal benefit doesn't shrink. It disappears. That's where the "you'll get zero" advice came from. Step 3 is the law change. The Social Security Fairness Act, signed January 5, 2025, repealed GPO and WEP and set the effective date back to January 2024. That created real money. Social Security publicly reported that by July 7, 2025, it had completed more than 3.1 million payments, totaling about $17 billion, and senators later referenced more than 3 million records adjusted. Step 4 is the squeeze. The repeal removed the penalty, but it did not automatically create an application for people who never filed. And Social Security's general rule for new applicants still limits how far back benefits can be paid, which is why, retroactive to January 2024, can collide with only 6 months from filing. Here's the flip you'll miss if you were told not to file. The law can be retroactive, and you can still lose retroactive money each month you wait to file. Think of the back pay window like a moving conveyor belt. Social Security is not holding January 2024 open for you personally. The 6-month retroactivity limit runs backward from the month you file, not from the month Congress picked. So if you file in July, your oldest payable month is January. If you wait until October, your oldest payable month becomes April. You didn't just delay the check. You permanently pushed 3 months off the back end of your own claim unless Congress or Social Security changes how they're applying the rule for this group. That's why the same person can hear, "The law goes back to January 2024, and still end up collecting only a fraction of the missed months. The retroactivity squeeze doesn't feel like a denial. It feels like a quiet accounting decision that drains your claim while you're deciding what to do. Now put a real American profile on it. Picture a 62-year-old retired school employee in Pittsburgh. She has a $7,250 per month pension from a district job that didn't withhold Social Security taxes. Her husband worked in Social Security covered employment and has a projected $2,200 monthly retirement benefit. Under the normal spousal rule, her spousal benefit would be about $1,100. Under GPO, 2/3 of her $750 pension is about $1,167. That wipes out the $1,100 spousal benefit. So she calls Social Security years ago, gets told the truth under the rules at the time, and she never files. No application, no formal denial, no protective filing date, just a phone call and a decision to move on. Fast forward. The Social Security Fairness Act becomes law on January 5th, 2025, effective January 2024. She hears the headlines about teachers and thinks, finally, this is for me. But Social Security's own public guidance includes the detail that breaks the headline narrative. About 72% of state and local public employees are in Social Security-covered employment. They were never hit by WEP or GPO, and they get no increase. The people who do get money are the minority who had non-covered pensions. She is in that minority, so she calls again. Now she's told she can apply, but her back pay is limited because she is a new applicant. That's where the senators enter the story. On April 1st, 2025, 4 U.S. senators, Susan Collins, Bill Cassidy, John Cornyn, and John Fetterman, wrote to the Social Security Administration describing this exact fact pattern. Spouses and survivors who previously contacted SSA were advised not to file because GPO would reduce the benefit to zero and are now being granted only limited retroactivity. Social Security responded on April 25, 2025, and the agency's position did not change. Then on February 5, 2026, Cassidy, Cornyn, and Fetterman wrote again, tightening the argument. If Congress intended to exclude new applicants from the effective date, Congress would have said so. They also made the practical point that Social Security's interpretation effectively requires people to have filed before anyone knew the law would pass. As of now, that dispute is still unresolved. And while it's unresolved, the conveyor belt keeps moving. Treat the retroactivity squeeze like a real rule, because right now it is. File the application immediately if you were ever told not to apply for spousal or survivor benefits because GPO would reduce your benefit to zero. Filing now locks in the earliest payable months available under the current rule. Waiting does not preserve your back pay. It destroys it month by month. Verify your information inside your My Social Security account at ssa.gov before you file or while you're filing. Social Security has already been issuing one-time retroactive payments and monthly adjustments, and they use the direct deposit and mailing address they have on record. If the record is wrong, your money and your notices drift into limbo. State the key fact pattern clearly on the record when you contact SSA. Say that you previously contacted Social Security and you were advised not to apply because GPO would reduce your spousal or survivor benefit to zero. That sentence is not drama. It is the exact scenario senators cited in writing, and it matters because it distinguishes you from someone who simply forgot to file. Finally, treat every month like a dollar decision. Under the current approach, the oldest payable month is calculated from when you file, not from January 2024. If the policy changes later, the safest position is already being in the system. If the policy never changes, filing now minimizes irreversible loss. A retroactive law doesn't help you if your application date keeps erasing the past. Next video, I'll show you another Social Security change that looks administrative, but can break payments for a specific group when the deadline shifts again. Subscribe if you want the rules translated into plain English before they cost you money.